Joining us now is Mark Hamrick, Senior Economic Analyst for Bankrate. Thanks for joining us, Mark.
Hello, Ben.
Well, Jerome Powell said yesterday that we may already be in a recession. Do you think that's true?
Absolutely. We've had millions of people lose their jobs. That was borne out in the first significant economic data snapshot we got in the recent days. Showed more than 3 million people lost their jobs in the week leading up to the reading on unemployment claims, and I have every expectation we'll see a comparable reading next week. The real question is the depth and duration of the downturn, and it's very difficult to answer that because we don't know how the virus itself is going to behave as well as the medical response. I think that we have every hope, and I think we have reason to hope, that the downturn can be compressed and there will be a rebound, and that's essentially what the Fed chairman said as well.
Well, Mark, the Dow is down today. We're in a bit of a bull market. How long do you think this will last?
Well, first of all, I'd be very cautious about getting bullish on this market. It's not unusual. In fact, it's typical of bear markets being defined as where the major averages have retraced 20% or more to see the biggest bounces in the context of a market that is down. That's not to cheerlead either way. It's just an expression of what history has told us about the market. I think we'll get an all clear on the performance of financial markets when we have greater confidence that the virus itself has essentially become less of a threat. So, we know that millions of people are out of work. We're in a contraction for the foreseeable future. We always, preach at Bankrate that people really need to do two things to avoid falling prey to what we have found in our surveys to be the chief sources of financial regret for Americans. And number one is to save for emergencies, and number two is to save for retirement. Those best practices haven't changed, and as people prepare to get checks from the federal government here, and to also for those who are on unemployment assistance, and we'll see a rise in the size of those checks in the coming weeks, they really need to play it cautious with their personal finances. But I think Americans are smart enough to know to do that, and we've already seen an indication and a measure of consumer sentiment from the University of Michigan that they are becoming increasingly cautious with management of their personal finances.
Mark, you just mentioned the millions of people out of work. A record 3.3 million filed for unemployment, but the markets are up. Why is that?
Markets are always in search of the accurate price for the assets that they're trading in. And as I said, it's not unusual to see the strongest gains for markets in the context of a bear market. But right now, this volatility is indicative of the high level of uncertainty we're dealing with right now. Imagine if someone had told us 2 or 3 months ago we'd be working through the experience that we are, we probably would have told them there's no way that's going to happen. But we are working through this. The Federal Reserve is using every tool in its toolbox. Congress has really stepped up and put partisanship aside, and we may indeed see some further legislative responses down the road. The good news here is that from the monetary policy standpoint, which is the central bank, from the fiscal authority standpoint, which is the Congress and the president, they actually have done their jobs, and there's more work to do. But I think this has actually been a lesson that our government can do the job that Americans want them to do, and obviously that's happening at the local level, the state level, and here in Washington, D.C. area.
All right, Mark Hamrick, thank you for your insight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.